fabulous actor.
But he was. What was the show he had?
Rockford Files.
Rockford. No, before that he had a show. Oh shit!
Which one?
That Bruce Lee appeared on. How's that one?
Yeah. That was Bruce Lee's first TV appearance.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Who the fuck you think you're dealing with here?
Time to IMDb Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee's first fucking TV appearance. It's funny if you know anything about that. There's a book out that I probably wrote.
Conflict? Cheyenne?
No.
Sugarfoot? No, TV, not film.
Angel? Yeah, I'm looking at TV series. Maverick?
No.
What year was it, do you think?
Right after Maverick.
You'd probably be better looking at Bruce Lee's IMDb.
Nichols?
No.
Okay, I'll look at Bruce Lee's.
There's a book out. I read it in Boulder. In 1986, I read it in Boulder. Before I got locked up. And it was a book. It was basically about Bruce Lee, but it described a chapter about Steve McQueen and Bruce Lee's relationship. I'm 51 years old, and about a year ago I joined jiu-jitsu. I've been kickboxing and karate all my life and all that shit. And last year I said, that's it. I'm sick of striking. I want to do something different. If I'm going to stand up, I want to start thinking.
Right.
From the videos I see of jiu-jitsu, you got to... Now, I hang around great jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah.
And it took me all these years to finally go in, and I love it. And I'm pissed now that I didn't get into it when I was 21.
I'm pissed too because it was
all furious.
About being Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris when I was a kid.
And listen, when I came from Cuba, there's a What's Happening on Ari thing where I talk about, before, when I was a kid, Chinese people walked around with their head down. Bruce Lee came along. He was the sponsor for all immigrants, and I was an immigrant. So now we had a fucking spokesman. When Bruce Lee came into the fucking thing, this was not a white dude anymore. This was a Chinese dude. I was Cuban. I qualified. Cuban, Chinese were immigrants. Something about Bruce Lee gave us hope. Gave me hope as a kid. And so I read everything about him to this day. I'm a big Bruce Lee guy. But one of the things that said that, at the end of the day, Steve McQueen loved Bruce Lee for what he stood for. He wanted to be Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee wanted to be Steve McQueen. They each had what they really wanted deep inside. Like to Steve McQueen, when you're an actor of that level, you're like, don't go see that fucking movie. They know at what point they're like, it's all over. I'm just doing it now for a paycheck. But, at that point, that's what the martial arts was kind of keeping him alive. If you watch, they say that people who really knew, they say that McQueen really walked Bruce Lee through the Chinese connection.
Well, his advice to Bruce Lee was the same as what he used to give Chuck Norris. Was that acting is all about, it's not what you say, it's the face, it's the reactions. It's if you look at Steve McQueen in every film he made, even down to when he was with Yul Brynner in The Magnificent Seven, and they're on top of the stagecoach as they're riding up to Boot Hill, when he was riding shotgun, and Brynner's talking and Steve's like shaking shotgun shells and putting him in, doing everything to steal the scene. He used to drive Yul Brynner crazy. Right, but he was really big on that. It wasn't all about how much dialogue I got; it's how much I can get across in my face and my movements.
I did Arliss with James Glover.
I love that show.
And he was telling stories about when he was in The Magnificent Seven, how they hated Yul Brynner.
Everybody
The
did.
deal was to steal the movie from Yul Brynner.
There you go.
Who the fuck was this fucking dude who danced with pants on to come from some foreign country and steal this movie from us? So they all got together. So I guess they put him up in a hotel somewhere in Santa Monica Boulevard by in Hollywood, West Hollywood. And McQueen, Coburn, and George C. Scott was a boozer. He wasn't in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But he was there with them. Would get hammered and they call Yul Brynner's room all night. You fucking dancing and hang up on him and shit. And the next day he come on and said, somebody kept fucking calling my room all night, because they didn't want him to steal the movie, I love all those old time stories.
Well, I love the old time stories because I love the old time actors. I mean, today Hollywood, you got idiots, sex taping a fat ass like Kim Kardashian that become famous. I'm into talent. And in those days, people train. And in the Hollywood machine, when you work for a studio, you did everything. You learned how to dance. You learned how to sing. You learned how to act. You did everything, And it was a machine that built movie stars. And today, people become famous on TV for nothing, And they equate themselves to major stars. I don't, personally. But like yourself, you've met a lot of actors, and you work around a lot of actors. You probably know the first rule is you don't always believe what you see on screen.
Right, yeah.
It's not the
oh
just
my
don't.
God.
I'm trying to say it in a nice way.
Right, yeah.
But McQueen was you know what McQueen really changed was the Thomas Crown affair. That was a true acting performance of him to dress up like that and to do all that stuff. Otherwise, he hung out with stuntmen. He rode motorcycles every friggin' day. He couldn't stand the whole Hollywood lifestyle, beyond the women. And he's just a real guy, which I respect.
Wow, fucking Malibu. The fuck, Lee? You don't even know who Steve McQueen is.
I know who he is.
You ever see Papillon?
No. Well, I can know who he is. I haven't seen everything.
You ever see Bullet?
No.
Which created the greatest.
Wait.
That created all the car chase scenes in film.
I saw the chase from Bullet. We didn't watch the movie.
Here's a thing for you, Joey. The jacket that he wears in the poster for Bullet, which was a basic tweed sport coat, right? It's valued at $800,000. Chad has it. They put it up for auction. The bidding went up to $720,000. It didn't meet the reserve, so it didn't sell. But somebody bid up to $720,000 for a sports coat because Steve wore it. Steve gave me one of his sports coats when I was a kid. I threw it away. I'm ready to go bada bing. It's like, what did I do that for? But it wasn't in a movie. But I have a poster of the Thomas Crown affair that they gave me that hung in his house that I still have hanging in my house. That's going nowhere. And you remember the kissing scene with Faye Dunaway in the Thomas Crown affair?
Yes.
The 360-degree camera angle they used, which, think about what he created. I mean, okay, Travolta got Western dancing off the ground and disco dancing off the ground. McQueen, that screen kiss changed screen kissing. Kissing became different after that. The car chase scene in Bullet changed the way car chase scenes were made after that. Then it went on to the French Connection, which took it to another level, and then another level, and now we have Fast and Furious and TGI changing everything, which I am and am not a fan of.
It's amazing how the French Connection was my first taste of real movie.
Gritty.
And the only reason, I fought tooth and nail, I was going to go watch that. And I was maybe 6 when that movie came out. And the commercial was the French Connection, filmed in New York, where it happened. And they'd show the guy getting shot at the subway, falling back.
That scene like this.
Yeah, that scene where he goes backwards. You're like, Mom, fuck the Love Bug, bitch. Remember the Love Bug was big in '69, and Jan Michael Vincent made a movie. I remember going to see that, The Strongest Man in the World.
Can I tell you?
Come on now.
I'm going to give it to you.
Drop it on me, baby.
Jan Michael Vincent married my high school best friend.
He's one talking about it.
Jan Michael Vincent, he's another one. I tell you, everybody lived in friggin' Malibu back then. He lived up the street, and Jan Michael Vincent, I would party on a Friday night. The poor guy had real serious issues. I would go into back the next day, on Saturday night rather, the next day for brunch, and I remember one day, and this really struck me that he had an issue, was he was still head down on the bar. They let him sleep there from the point that they closed it. He was partied like crazy.
If anybody
Going in like fucking Marines, you understand me?
Welcome to church, motherfucker.
If anybody
he was Brad Pitt back in those days.
He was